Hey everyone, it is Renee Lee here, your Soul Purpose Success Mentor, and I'm coming to you today with a client of mine. You see her right beside me. This is Diahana Barnes.
Hello.
And the reason I have Diahana on today is because I want to do a case study interview with her. She is an amazing spiritual entrepreneur. She came to my retreat in Montana last May of 2018, and then she signed up to be in my Soul Freedom Circle mastermind. And she created six-figure success in just a couple of months of working with me. So I invited her on to share with you how she did that. So welcome, Diahana. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. So excited. Thank you for having me.
My intention for these case study interviews is really to help you guys see what's possible, right? So this is one of two. There'll be another case study interview coming up later in this week. And this is going to be a candid conversation. So Diahana, I only gave her like one question, which is the first question she's going to answer. And then after that, we're just going to flow. It's going to be a candid conversation. You're going to see what it really takes to bring in six figures, right? Awesome. So let's get this started. I'm going to go ahead and ask Diahana, tell everyone where you're from, what you do, and how long you've been in business.
So where I'm from, I currently live in Oregon, Southern Oregon, just north of the California border. And I'm also from California, so I have a house in California as well, which is where I'm from 90% of the time, most of my life. What I do, right? I have to remember the three questions. What I do. So I'm Diahana Barnes. I am a spiritual business coach. So I help coaches, healers, heart-centered entrepreneurs attract clients, really using what I call their spiritual sales style, your spiritual natural gifts. And if you see my dog popping in, that's because he wants to be part of the case study too. And he always does that when I'm on Zoom. So it's just, he needs attention. So yeah, so that's what I do, and I love it.
Yeah, and so you created six figures in just, I think it was like 4 months of us working together. So tell us how you did it.
Yeah. How I did it. Wow, great question. It's funny because, it's not funny, but it's interesting because this morning, so I do spiritual work, which I'm sure a lot of your people that watch do as well, as I know you do. And so I was really tuning in this morning, and it's interesting to me because I journaled afterwards, which I don't normally do, but I journaled that I'll be revealing my journey to $1 million, because that's the journey that I'm on now. Hit six figures, now it's $1 million. The steps, the pitfalls, the learnings, and how you can do it too. And so the process for me was, and this is kind of what I teach now, right? Was going from like $2,000 a month to then $3,000 a month to then working with you to literally what I call literally six figures overnight, right? Like a $40,000 month came a couple months after I came to Montana. And what I learned, and it's three things, and you teach this in your SPS process too, but I think we all have to like learn it for ourselves. Like you have to internalize it yourself and make it your own. So for me, it's like my steps are, you have to discover your divine swagger, right? You have to know who you are spiritually, not like the human you, but like the spiritual you, and have complete unwavering confidence in that. And I didn't have that. I got that in Montana working with you, right? I had some of it, right? I think we have glimpses of it. We have glimmers of it. But to really just like ground yourself in that and like own it, that's why I call it swagger. Like you own it. Mm-hmm. And then heal. The big thing for me was healing. And I think we all have major healings and blocks and schmutz that we have to get through. And we don't even realize it, right? Like I thought, I'm super spiritual. I know how to pray. I know how to heal. I know, why do I need Renee? Mm-hmm. But you can't always. Sometimes you can do it yourself, but 90% of the time you can't. You can't do it by yourself. And so that is the biggest, like I use Montana as the the catalyst, I mean, I've been doing a lot of self-work up until that point, so I was really primed and ready. Like, you have to be super open, and then you helped me, right? You helped me open up, heal, look, recognize, be, I don't know.
So talk about that, because you said it felt like it was overnight. So what was it energetically? I mean, you talked about confidence, right? That was a deeper level of owning your confidence. That was the new energy. Say more about that. Like, what shifted? What shifted for you in Montana that it felt like it was overnight? Went from 3K months to a 40K month.
I'm thinking, give me a minute. Sorry, you guys.
And this was last May. So Diana's been working with me for about 7 months now. The 6-figure mark came around the 4-month mark, but the 40K month came really right after the weekend together in Montana.
Yeah, and then the 6 figures, I mean, was right after that. It was like boom, 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 boom. The biggest, so it was, the word that keeps coming up for me is trust, right? I wasn't trusting, I needed to trust, and the healing work, the like really deep work that we did there. And so let me back up. I don't want to say it was just Montana. It was Montana followed by working with you afterwards, right? It wasn't like you just go to Montana and I had this quick fix. So it was actually deeper than that. That was the catalyst. That was the springboard of me opening up. But then we started working together, right? You know, you were, and I even told you this. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. And you felt a lot of resistance in me. We talked about that too, right? You were doing your healing work. You have these weird walls around you I've never seen before. But I was willing to break through them and open them and let you in. And that's really what
I love that.
It was the deeper work.
Yeah, so what Diana's referring to are the healing sessions that I offer, the healing sessions at the IM level. And so Montana really opened her energy field up. There was that healing clarity around Harmonious CEO, like the soul clicking that happened for you. There was the clarity around the message. And that really energized you. And then she's talking about the kickoff healing session that I offered her right when she signed up for the Soul Freedom Circle. And that deep work put her into a resistance. And which, you know, half the clients go through resistance, right out of the gate, because it's very confronting. Once you say yes to your soul purpose success, it's like, oh my God, like, am I really that big? Is that really my potential? Am I really going to do this? And so it feels a little bit scary. It feels confronting. So thank you for being transparent and honest about your resistance. It's such a natural part of the journey, isn't it? And so the reason, and Diana's resistance was very strong in her own way. Everybody's resistance is very different, right? So Diana had her own way of like, I need space. Like, I need space. And, Spirit asked me to give her space. And so I did. But the reason she's here today, the reason she got, that money flow, that consistent money flow in the early months of working with me, is because she was committed to breaking through those barriers. So talk a little bit about that. What does it take? You said you called it schmutz earlier. So you see all this stuff. What does it take to break through?
It takes, trust. It takes, honestly, perseverance. So once people start working with you, you understand, you feel that new way of being. For me, it was a feeling. And there's a book called Flow. You're in your flow, right? It's an old book, but right. You know what it feels like. Once you know that new way of feeling, it feels great. Then you get scared, right? This is your little journey pyramid-y thing. You love my terminology, right? Then resistance comes up, and you have to go through the resistance and be willing, right? You almost have to force yourself, not in a bad way, but you do have to force yourself. Like, I would have to force myself to be like, okay, gotta let Renee in. Okay, yes, we outlined the exact perfect steps for me, and you've got to follow through, even when it scares the bejesus out of you, right? So Facebook Lives was part of what we outlined that was perfect for me. The Harmonious CEO, like, we had this whole plan exiting Montana. I had to execute that plan, knowing and trusting that it's the process. And there are no mistakes, right? Like, what is your words? I hear this in my head. Right action leads to something. you know,
Right
you've got to
energy
take
plus
right
right.
energy. Yeah. Right. So you're in the right energy, you're in the flow, you've got to take the right action, and you just got to trust. And for me, like what I tried to do is I'm like, okay, I wanted to hit 6 figures. How am I going to do it? I'm like human math. How's that going to work? I don't understand. How's it going to work? I couldn't make the math work.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good with numbers. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to trust. And I did. And that's when clients literally fell in my lap, right? I talk about that and I don't think people believe me. I did not pick up the phone. I was doing the right energy, the right action. I was going live. I was doing all you're supposed to do. And what you do over here pays off over here. That's when someone literally calls you up. That's when I said I wanted to do speaking gigs, and 4 hours later, someone called me up and asked me to speak at their event, right? It's that, so.
It can be that easy. It's
It can be
really
that easy.
when you focus on the energy. Yeah, awesome. So I love that. I heard, let Renee in, trust the process, and heal. Can you talk a bit about, like, what was your biggest healing experience in the past 7 months together?
So I don't know if there's just one. I'm going to say there's 2. The first one that we worked on was with when I was a child. So I had a lot of resistance. For those of you who aren't super woo-woo and, like me, I don't consider myself woo-woo. I didn't want to look at my childhood. Like I didn't really believe in that stuff, right? I just a lot of resistance. But I was willing to do it. And so I opened myself up, looked at my young self and realized that I had huge anger issues. I'm like, I'm happy all the time. Ask anybody. I had some huge anger issues around my young family life with my parents and with my stepsister. I don't know, even step, half, whatever. It doesn't even matter, right? That we had to look at, that I had to heal. And it's all me, right? It's all internal that you have to break through in order to open up. And for me, it was, be more intimate, be less, what's the word? Formal, right? And just be me, just be, I showed up on a Facebook Live with no makeup on, dog barking, just being free to be me.
Yeah. And so I want people to be clear, like, in order to show up authentically, Diahana had to do that healing, right? To let go of those barriers that we feel we need to protect ourselves with. Mm-hmm. What's really interesting about your time with me, and this is really, for me, the juiciest part of our partnership here. When you came to me, and I need people to understand who Diahana is, right? So she's led like $1 million sales teams in the past in the corporate world. She came to me as a boss already, right? And she, so a sales master, she's a sales coach. She already started, before she met me, she already started infusing a little bit of the spiritual stuff with the practical sales. She started that journey a little bit already. And then she met me. She felt drawn to work with me. And tell the viewers what happened next. Because this is so juicy. Go ahead, you tell them.
Oh, well, I think I know what you want me to tell. So this is funny because, I'm going to tell this story. Renee and I were at another retreat. My pause just was like, let me let the dog out. I can keep talking.
But this is the most sacred part when I work with clients, when they kind of come into a deeper aspect of their soul's purpose. That to me is just,
it's all divinely perfect. Yeah. So we were at a retreat, another retreat before the Montana retreat, right? And God told me, there was a group of us and we were talking about our programs. And I had the intuitive hit, right? God told me, you're meant to work with Renee. And I'm like, okay, I was all ready. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sign up. Sounds good. And Renee, she gets up and starts talking about her program on a piece of paper. And I'm like, oh, I don't need that. My head, right? My head was like, I don't need that. Oh, that isn't what I'm not sure about. Yeah, I don't know if that's the right thing, right? It's so funny. God was like, no, you need to work with her. And that's the same with Montana. I need to go to Montana. I need to go to Montana. I was supposed to go to Montana in October on your retreat, but didn't. The head, right? It's the head and the heart.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was interesting, because God knew we were supposed to work together, but the human me didn't get it. I did not get it at all. And I was looking for whoever my next coach was, who I thought would be like a business coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a marketing coach, and not the spiritual, but I needed the spiritual. You need both. And that's what you offered, right?
Because we're spiritual entrepreneurs. Like that's the path. Mm-hmm. And so what I was really trying to gear this conversation to was you kind of really aligning with your deeper soul's purpose. So you were already marrying the spiritual with the practical. And so after a few healing sessions, Spirit was really telling me like, hey, Diana's really a spiritual teacher. Yes, she's a sales master. Yes, she's, led $1 million sales team, and she can do that. And that is a part of your soul's purpose. Like that is how you're meant to serve through that avenue, but you're also a spiritual teacher. That kept coming up for me. And it took you a little while to start owning it, but then when you did, the divine swagger language came out of that, right? Mm-hmm. So talk about how that felt when that owning it process.
So I will say the owning it process is also when things really started clicking. Like that's when my sales copy just like flows. Like I have no problem writing sales copy anymore. Like my systems are down. I named my system over the holidays. It's so much a part of who I am. And you were saying spiritual teacher, and in my head I'm hearing and healer, right? So spirit, the core of what we do is the spiritual teaching and the healing. And yes, for me, sales, teaching people how to sell is part of it. And you helping people market and really align with their soul's purpose and market is what we do. It feels amazing. It's just so easy. It's so easy once you open up.
Yeah. And so healing really is the key, and the right energy is the key, is what you've been saying all along here. What would you say to, okay, so just two more questions. So one is, was there like an unexpected result out of our time together?
I'm gonna say my husband's gonna kill me, but I hope this is in a private group and not public. The unexpected result would be, I'm gonna say it, the amazing, great sex with your husband. I'm telling or wife or whatever, right? The impact on your personal life and business, right? So I had what I would call intimacy issues, although that sounds really weird, because I became a new person and I opened up in new ways, and it's made my relationship with my daughter better, my husband better, my son. I've been able to go to networking meetings, which I never could before, and I'm not introverted by any stretch, and just have friends. People are drawn, they're drawn to me. I would say the personal side is it's amazing, right?
I love that,
because to have this whole life, this whole fulfilled life.
Because that healing that you did was letting down those walls, letting down the barriers, so people could see you, so that you could receive the intimacy and the love, so that real deep experiences can be had. And it's really in those rich, deep experiences that sales gets made anyway, right? Like when you're really connecting, like you say, in a heart-centered way. So yeah, you guys, like that's the work. That's definitely a large part of the work. It's to shift your energy so you can receive. And receiving love, right? Receiving the great sex, receiving the money, receiving the six figures, receiving the ease, and allowing yourself, giving yourself permission to be in that flow and to receive easily. So amazing. Thank you, Diana. What would you say to the person who's on the fence about working with me? So kind of like you,
do it.
They had a breadcrumb. Yeah.
Do it. Do it. Do it. I tell everybody this. Do it. If your intuition is telling you to do it, and you feel sick to your stomach, this is, like you're gonna throw up, then you're supposed to do it. That's for me. I mean, it might be different for other people, but for me, like I know I'm supposed to do it. It makes me feel a little nauseous. I know I need to do it, right? Because that's how I know. It's because nausea to me is I'm stretching myself and pushing beyond a self-inflicted boundary. And so I knew with you before you even knew, maybe, I think, because I was called to go to Montana in October, but I wouldn't give myself permission to go. And so I finally went in whenever it was, April, April, I think it was.
What a journey.
Just do it.
Yeah.
You won't regret. There are no mistakes. It's all divinely perfect anyway. And it's just money. It'll come back. That's the other. It's just money.
Yeah, and
it's just another zero. That's why I tell you, it's just another zero. 100,000, million. It's just a couple more zeros. It really doesn't matter.
Awesome. Well, Diahana, thank you so much for your time and sharing your story with everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you. And everyone, you can look forward to another case study interview coming to you next week. In the meantime, if you are feeling called and you have that God breadcrumb, you're feeling that nudge, go ahead and hit apply and let's just have a conversation. So Diahana came to the retreat. She joined the Soul Freedom Circle. You're going to hear Janira later on in the week talk about her results from the Message and Money Activation Series. There are different ways to work with me. How do you know which one is the best fit for you? Let's hop on the phone. So click the apply link below, submit it. Cherie will get you my calendar link and we'll just chat to see what's really a perfect fit for you for where you and your business are right now. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you guys soon.